Mandy, a character who rarely loses her temper, but when she does, it's explosive. In this video, we'll look at top 5 moments when Mandy completely lost control. So let's get started. There's only one time in the entire show when Mandy was shown falling in love. And no, we're not talking about Erwin. This was about a cool dude who made Mandy act weirdly. The first time she saw him, she started feeling strange emotions, things she never experienced before. It got so overwhelming that she ran away. Later, Mandy went for a checkup, and the doctors revealed something shocking. She had love, a condition that happens when someone falls for another person. And in this case, Mandy had one-sided love for that cool dude. Now Mandy was losing her mind. She rushed to Grimm, demanding his help. And guess what? She gave him full permission to do whatever it takes to cure her. She was even ready to risk her life just to get rid of this disease. But instead of doing something crazy, Grimm used his creative mind and gave Mandy a complete makeover. With her new look, Mandy confidently walked up to that cool dude. And surprise, he had also started liking her. But Mandy wasn't here for love. She was here for revenge. Instead of letting herself fall deeper, she flipped the game, made him fall for her, and then crushed his heart right away. This wasn't about love. It was about Mandy's ego. She made sure that he was the one who got rejected, not her, and she won. But wait, there's another moment where Mandy completely crossed the line. So bad that if this was real life, she would have ended up in jail. One day, Billy noticed his father's thick beard and was instantly impressed. He wanted a beard just like that. So being the genius he is, sarcasm intended, he decided to use a special conditioner given by Grimm to grow his beard. But here's the problem. Billy as well. Billy, instead of using just a little, he emptied the entire bottle on himself. And guess what? Instead of just a beard, his entire body got covered in hair. He now looked like a werewolf. Billy's mom freaks out. The first person to see this furry disaster was Billy's mother, and she was terrified. She didn't even recognize her own son. Poor Billy had no choice but to run for his life. While his mother couldn't tell who he was, Mandy figured everything out in seconds. At first, she thought of helping Billy. But then came a big twist. The government had issued a capture order for any werewolf-like creatures, and there was a huge reward for catching one. Mandy, being the opportunist she is, immediately decided to turn Billy in for the cash. A real friend would never betray their best friend for money. But Mandy, she didn't even hesitate. This wasn't the first time she was ready to sacrifice Billy without a second thought. Now Billy seriously needs to break up with Mandy. Throughout the show, there are countless moments where Mandy chooses power, money, or her own amusement over Billy's well-being. So the big question is, when will Billy finally realize that Mandy is the most toxic friend ever? Billy and Mandy's friendship took a dark turn when Mandy and her entire family had to move into Billy's house. Due to construction work at Mandy's home, she temporarily shifted in. And as a good friend, Billy welcomed her. But things went downhill the moment they had to share a room. Mandy hated the idea of anyone invading her space, so she used tape to divide the room into two, making sure Billy didn't cross into her side. This was unfair for Billy because, technically, it was his room. Every time he tried to talk to her and accidentally stepped over the line, Mandy would get angrier and angrier. Things escalated to an extreme level when Mandy trapped Billy inside a brick wall, literally sealing him in just so she could have the entire room to herself. This was yet another toxic moment, proving that Mandy had no regard for Billy's feelings. Billy had always been loyal to Mandy, following all her commands without question. He tolerated her bossy attitude, mood swings, and unreasonable demands. But everything changed when Mandy, by mistake, said thank you to Billy for his help. This was a huge shock for Billy because Mandy had never shown any gratitude before. The realization broke him, and he decided to end their friendship and walk away. But the shocking part? Mandy didn't care at all. She happily let Billy leave without a second thought. The next day, Billy tried to move past his anger and talk to Mandy again, but she had already moved on. Not only did she ignore him, but she also revealed that she was looking for a replacement, someone who would obey her orders, just like Billy did. Mandy started auditions for a new Billy 2.0, testing different people to see who could replace her former best friend. Even Erwin showed up, trying to act like Billy, but the most shocking contestant, Billy's own father, tried to take his son's place. Despite all these attempts, Mandy rejected everyone. She wanted a perfect Billy who would follow her blindly. But the next day, Billy was in for a bigger shock. Mandy had actually found a replacement. This new Billy looked exactly like the real one, making Billy panic. Billy regretted his decision and tried everything to win Mandy back, but failed every time. To make things worse, a new problem arrived. Bobby, a so-called friend, who was now actively working to replace Billy completely. Bobby went to extreme lengths, even gifting Mandy a car to win her over. But things turned serious when Bobby started manipulating Billy's own parents, trying to erase Billy from his own life. It was clear. Bobby didn't just want to be Mandy's best friend, he wanted to be Billy himself. When Billy finally discovered Bobby's true intentions, he realized he had to eliminate him before losing everything. So in desperation, Billy stole Grim's scythe, confronted Bobby in a dark corner, and with one final move, erased him permanently from existence. After Bobby was gone, Mandy accepted Billy back as her best friend, and just like that, everything went back to normal. One day, Mandy, Billy, and Grim were out selling cookies when they encountered a crazy old lady who refused to buy anything from them. She even stopped Billy and Grim from making a sale. This did not sit well with Mandy. Instead of walking away, she stepped forward and intimidated the old woman so much that, in the end, the lady had no choice but to hand over a stack of cash. You have to admit, Mandy has a terrifying talent. Whether it's kids or adults, she can scare anyone into doing what she wants.